Welcome to Quantumly Kinky with Veda, where we talk about sex, Chinese medicine, and character development for the multidimensional you. Episode 10, Dancing with Desire, Navigating Passion Gaps in Partnership. Welcome back to Quantumly Kinky. I am your host, SarahVeda, and today we're talking about how to thrive in partnership while desire discrepancies are coming up. So, what if I told you that mismatched desires aren't actually a sign of incompatibility, but they're an invitation? That the friction, the longing, the frustration that you feel in your relationship isn't actually a problem, but rather a doorway to deeper connection. So today we're going to get into it, and we're not just talking about erotic desire, we're talking about transforming it, alchemizing it, and using it as a force for deeper intimacy. And we're talking about one of the biggest challenges in modern relationships: what to do when you and your partner want different things. One person craves more sex, the other doesn't. One wants to explore kink, the other isn't sure. One person is drawn to being poly, the other is monogamous to the core. These differences, they can feel like a battle. Or they can be the thing that actually makes your relationship thrive. I guess it just all boils down to our frame of reference. So today I want to look at desire as a living force, not a fixed contract. And what happens is most people, including myself, enter relationships assuming that sexual compatibility is a static thing. That if it works in the beginning, it should always work, right? But desire is alive. It ebbs, flows, and evolves just like we do. And let's be real, no two people will desire the same thing at the same time forever. Expecting that is like expecting the moon to always be full. Instead of seeing desire differences as a problem, let's see them as this natural part of long-term intimacy, and that our desires are revealing who we are in any given moment. And your partner's desires, they're revealing who they are. So instead of just saying, "Why don't you want me the way I want you?" let's ask, what is desire asking us to explore right now? Because a thriving partnership doesn't avoid desire discrepancies. It learns how to navigate them with curiosity and skill. Take a deep breath with me. It's kind of like there's this unspoken layer. What do desire differences really even mean? Because desire discrepancies often aren't just about sex. They're about power, safety, freedom, and self-expression. Let's say if one partner has a higher sex drive, what else might they be craving? Do they need more emotional connection, more spontaneity, more validation? Let's say if one partner avoids sex, is it really about libido, or is it about something deeper? Like, do they feel unseen, overwhelmed, disconnected from their body? Let's say one person wants to explore kink or non-monogamy while the other resists. What's underneath? Is it about boundaries, fear of change, a need for deeper trust? You see, there's always this unspoken layer, but desire is a language in itself. And when it clashes, it's usually trying to tell us something deeper. So let's use this as an opportunity to reframe. And instead of fighting about the surface level human desires we have, let's go deeper. Let's get more multidimensional and ask, what is this actually about? Then the question becomes, but how do we shift from conflict to connection? Instead of seeing desire discrepancies as a problem, what if we treated them as portals, openings into deeper intimacy, trust, and expansion with each other? It's a choice to do this for sure. It's definitely not an easy one either. But let's really think about our alternatives here. And when we choose to treat desire discrepancies as portals instead of problems, we can play. And in particular, we can play with these 3 transformative games I'm going to tell you about next. And guess what? When we play with these games, we can turn these moments of mismatch into powerful opportunities for growth and pleasure. So, game 1, I like to call this the expansion game, and it's about releasing this idea of right and wrong. When one person wants something and the other doesn't, it's easy to fall into the blame trap. You're too needy, you're too distant, you're too adventurous, you're boring. But what if no one is wrong? And what if both of you are exactly where you need to be? So the next time desire differences come up, instead of shutting down, try saying, I don't fully understand your desire, but I want to. Can you tell me more? Curiosity creates expansion. Expansion creates connection. And then there's game 2 of how to transform desire discrepancies into intimacy. And game 2, I like to call the erotic middle ground. And it's all about building a bridge together instead of a wall. Because desire discrepancies don't have to mean all or nothing. And instead of seeing it as one person giving in and the other winning, find the erotic middle ground instead. Let's say one person craves deep intimacy and the other isn't feeling sexual. Can you explore non-sexual sensuality, massage, breathwork, eye contact? Let's say one partner wants kink and the other is hesitant. Can you explore light power dynamics in ways that feel safe? Let's say one person wants more sex and the other feels pressure. Can you remove the goal of orgasm and explore intimacy as play instead? So this is really about practicing together and asking our partners regularly, what's one small step outside your comfort zone that excites you, even just a little? Start there. And then there's game 3, and I like to call this the Erotic Self-Honoring. And this is talking about when to meet in the middle and when to maybe expand separately. Not all desires can be met inside of a relationship, and that's okay. One of the greatest sources of suffering in relationship isn't mismatched desire itself. It's the belief that our partner should be able to fulfill every single one of our erotic needs. Desire is vast. It's fluid. It shifts with time, experience, and even cosmic rhythms. Expecting one person to meet all of your needs is like expecting a single meal to satisfy us for life. But the truth is, not all desires need to be acted upon. Not all cravings are meant to be fulfilled by another. In fact, some are meant to be witnessed so they can be honored even if they don't materialize. Some are meant to be explored individually as an act of self-love, creativity, or energetic expansion. And some might even be used as a catalyst for personal growth, a doorway into deeper self-awareness, transformation, and spiritual awakening. So I want to get into these 3 approaches to desire a little further. Number 1, this idea that some desires are meant to be witnessed and not fulfilled. We live in a culture that equates desire with entitlement, that says if I want something, I should have it. If I crave an experience, it must be satisfied. But in Taoist thought, desire itself is an energy. It moves through us like wind through the trees, shaping us, teaching us that sometimes leaves us restless. Some desires are not about getting, but they're about seeing. Here's an example. Let's say you fantasize about an experience outside of your relationship. Perhaps a particular kink, an open dynamic, an encounter with a different energy than your partner provides. And so instead of suppressing it or demanding it be fulfilled, try this. Acknowledge it. Write it down. Speak it into existence. Share it with the partner in a way that feels safe, not as pressure, but as an opening. Hey, I don't need to act on this, but I want to share that this desire lives inside of me. Something like that. And then ask yourself, what is this fantasy or desire showing me? Does it speak to an unmet emotional need? A hunger for novelty? A call towards something deeper within myself? You see, because when a desire is witnessed, it doesn't need to be suppressed. It can simply be. And sometimes just having it seen is enough. And then let's go into number 2. Some erotic needs can be met individually through self-pleasure, fantasy, or creative expression. One of the greatest mistakes we make in relationship is outsourcing our entire erotic fulfillment to another person. Your sexuality does not belong to your partner. Your pleasure is not someone else's responsibility. Taoist wisdom reminds us that sexual energy is not just for sex. It is the creative force of life itself. If you have an erotic desire that isn't being met in your relationship, consider where else this energy wants to flow. So here are some alternative ways to express erotic energy without a partner. Number 1, self-pleasure. This is energy cultivation. Instead of just masturbating for release, try conscious erotic energy circulation. Imagine pleasure not just in your genitals, but expanding through your whole body. Breathe into it. Let it feed your creativity, your magnetism, and your personal vitality. Number 2 is about erotic fantasy and inner exploration. You see, fantasy doesn't mean something is missing in your relationship, but it means your mind is alive with possibility. So ask yourself, what do my fantasies reveal about the deeper parts of me? Use erotic storytelling, dream journaling, or guided visualizations to explore this without needing to externalize. And then there's number 3, creative expression as a pleasure outlet. Turn your longing into art, into poetry, movement, music. In Taoist practice, sexual energy and creative energy are one and the same. So if your desire isn't being met physically, channel it into something that brings your soul to life. Ask yourself, how can I take ownership of this erotic energy? And instead of waiting for someone else to meet the need, explore how to expand pleasure beyond physical touch. And number 3, some longings are just invitations to grow, not just sexually, but spiritually. There are some desires that don't seem to want to go away. They don't just visit in passing, but they haunt you. They show up in your dreams, in the deep ache in your chest, in the restless pull of your body. These aren't just sexual longings, these are soul-level callings. An example of this, let's say you long for deeper surrender, but your partner struggles with dominance. Let's say you crave more freedom and love, but your relationship is structured in a way that feels limiting. Let's say you desire an erotic awakening, but your body feels closed off or numb. The question to ask, is this longing about sex, or is it about something much bigger? Is it a call to break open a pattern you've been stuck in? Is it a message that your soul is evolving and your relationship needs to evolve with it? Is it an invitation to surrender, to trust, to expand beyond what you thought love could be? You see, not all longings need to be acted upon, but all longings need to be listened to. Sit in silence this week and place your hands on your heart and your lower belly. Breathe into your desire, not as something to fix, but as something to honor, and ask, what are you trying to teach me? Then listen. So, after today's episode, what if I told you that your desire differences in your relationship are not a sign that something is wrong, but a sign that something is growing? That your relationship is inviting you to expand beyond old patterns into something more conscious, more creative, maybe even more deeply connected. So, explore shifting the perspective and seeing desire, discrepancy, friction as a portal. The longing that you have as a teacher, because desire is not a problem. It's a path. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, and stay quantumly kinky. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Quantumly Kinky with Veda. Stay turned on. Till next time.